Whew, man, that was a fun 3 days. Hi, I'm Pete Hansen.
And I'm James Harward.
We just finished 3 days at WPPI in Las Vegas, 2019. It was a bit of a whirlwind for us, but we had a great time.
It was an experience, that's for sure. It was awesome.
It really was. Now we're sitting here in the parking area. Well, we're across the street from Mandalay Bay, here by the airport, so we might get buzzed by helicopters or have little things happening around us. So hopefully you'll be able to hear us just fine. But we wanted to give you this recap. We mentioned to you as we were driving from our home to Las Vegas a couple days ago that we wanted to do a recap of WPPI. So this is it. So sit back and enjoy the conversation. We're going to talk to you about our favorite things about WPPI, things that we saw, things that we liked, things we didn't like per se. But we're just going to give you the overall impressions of why we went to WPPI and why we think it's important that you to go. At the end of this video, we're going to give you the top 3 reasons why you should attend WPPI in the future. We think it's a great convention. This was James' first time, and I've been there a few different times before, but we're going to give you our top 3 reasons why it's important that you put WPPI on your calendar every year.
But before we get into that, we're going to give you a description of what this conference was and why it was awesome for us to come to this, what it meant to us.
Exactly right. So, number one, just realize that as part of WPPI, you can go to the exhibits only, or you can buy a bigger session ticket, which allows you to go to seminars and workshops and all kinds of things, which is really worth the money. I mean, if you haven't done that in the past, you should really consider that in the future. But you can also go on the cheap. You can go and just go to the exhibits only, and that's like a $30 fee to get into the exhibits. If you're an educator or a student, like we mentioned in our previous video, you can also get that for free. So we went to the exhibits only this time.
And so I think in a way we did miss out on some things, but I still feel really satisfied with it, because everywhere you went, these vendors would bring in photographers to actually teach how to use their products. And so you got taught how to do things, whether it's product specific or it was in general. Here's something that's worth learning. So it was great, even though we didn't get the other stuff.
So you're describing the demonstrations of all the different kinds of equipment that the vendors were showing, taught by professional photographers.
Yeah, not just an engineer.
Exactly. And a lot of times you go to conventions and they're hired models, they're hired spokespeople who are listening to, the prompts in their ear, and they're just regurgitating, well, this camera has so many megapixels. None of that here. This is by professional photographers who are using these things, and they're giving you live presentations right there. It's really
it was awesome.
Really quite handy. I like that too. And there are all kinds of products there. You would, for a photo convention, you think of, a photo store. Well, this is a big photo store. It's a nice sized room. It's full of, of companies that sell prints. You can go by and, Miller's or Bay Photo or other organizations that do high end, nice, classy prints. There are album manufacturers. If you print albums for your customers, wedding albums or senior albums or whatever it might be, all these different wedding album vendors there. Something that was kind of fun was the photo booths. There were
that was surprising. I didn't expect to even see that.
Yeah, and they're really unique. I mean, they used to be kind of bulky and weird, but now they're in the shapes of mirrors or hearts or circles, and very high tech. So if you're looking for a photo booth of some kind, you should look at the list of exhibitors for WPPI and look at the photo booths options they have there.
And the unique thing about it is they didn't all need to be babysat. They were self-start. Person could walk up, tap here, and go into that. But the nature of photography these days, we do so much photography, but there's so many of us that do a lot of video. So that's one thing. I was actually expecting to see more that would play to that. And I just have to admit, I was a little disappointed and surprised that they didn't have more that dealt with video.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of one. There may be a wedding videography convention. There may be one. We should probably research that. But this was simply mostly straight photography.
Yep, some of the vendors played to it barely, but not enough to justify as a videographer
Yep.
to come.
Yep. Another fun thing that we found there was that most of the manufacturers, camera manufacturers or lens manufacturers, had stations within their area for cleaning. So, like for instance, today we took our cameras into the Sony booth, and they gave them a cleaning. I mean, they had technicians there that were cleaning sensors and wiping all the dust out of every nook and cranny. They really went through the whole camera and gave us basically a spanking brand new looking camera. That was really nice. So take your camera gear with you, and just know that most likely there'll be an option there for free cleaning and some basic service of your camera.
And show specials. If I would have thought more ahead, I would have put more budget around this.
Yep.
Because just about every vendor, we're doing show specials. A lot of 15 to 20% off.
Absolutely.
It seemed like the average was around 20.
Yeah.
Some higher, some lower. And Pete got to take more of advantage of that than I did.
I had budgeted somewhat for this, and we'll talk about some of these things in just a second.
So if I was to go back, I would actually plan a little bit more of my budget to be put toward walking away with some things, because it's a great opportunity to come get good deals. And not a lot of them where you can buy it for this cheaper price. We will ship it to you for free, and you're not paying tax,
and no sales tax involved. So it's a triple win there. Really, it's a good idea. So yeah, take advantage of those show specials. Now, one thing to consider is that some vendors like B&H, and I think Adorama and others, will actually extend the show specials that they're doing over the internet during the WPPI time. So if you're looking for something and you just can't quite make it to the show itself, go to these vendors and see if you can find a WPPI special, because they will allow you to order online from wherever during that time frame. So, but in addition to those kind of vendors, the specials we saw a lot of were from the actual manufacturer, the actual vendor. So you're not buying it through a reseller, but you're buying it directly from the manufacturer, which gives you a good discount also. So, and I took advantage of some of those. Don't tell the wife, but I took it. Oops, she's probably watching this, isn't she? Oops, there goes.
Probably.
Oops, there it goes.
So one of the really cool things was all the lighting options. So when we do photography, we've got our special lights that we need for that. We do video, we've got special lights. But it's really cool to see the technology that's coming together, that there's some lights that actually meet both of the needs. So there's one brand in particular that caught my attention, and these are more on the bigger end. I find that I've got my studio flashes, I've got my off-camera while I'm out on the street flashes, and then I've got my continuous light that I use for video, and I'm trying to find something for the bigger productions. And there's a brand called Anthem One that it was this modular system that allowed you to switch out the LEDs to get different color.
And it's an LED based system, so it's lightweight, it's low power, and it's cool. It's not hot.
You're watching the guy touch and switch things out while you're there, and it just was a really cool system. And we'll put a link to them below, and all the other things we talk about, we'll put a link to them. But they have my attention, and I'm going to be looking more into that, because that'll meet my bigger lighting needs. But Pete's already jumped into another brand called Roto Lights that it also meets your video and photography.
Yeah, Rotolight's a very cool product. It comes out of England, developed about 5 years ago, and it is a round LED based light that you can control the color by going either into a tungsten light or a daylight type of thing, and you can go anywhere in between. It acts as a constant light, so it's on all the time if you would like it to be, and most of the time it's on. As a modeling light also, but it also acts as a strobe. So if you have the right connection to your camera, you can have it trigger a strobe, which would be like 2 times or 3 times the intensity of that modeling light. So you can use it in all different kind of applications.
So the paradigm shift for me with this is these are LEDs. You can't use these for your photography strobes. That's where I got to get out of my head.
Yep, yep.
That blew my mind that this
Yep.
actually is a real solution.
And we did some shooting around town the past couple nights, and we would use that rotolight for part of those nights or part of those shoots. And it's just great. You walk up to your model, and you have James would hold it for me, and I'd hold it for him, and we would light with that rotolight. No use of flashes anywhere. Just use the ambient light and the rotolight, and that was just beautiful. So I really enjoyed the rotolights, and it was fun to talk with the owner there and the developer of the light and learn some things that I hadn't learned before and how to use a light more effectively. That was cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing that we looked at were modifiers for our lighting. Now we have a little bit of a difference in opinion here. Tell me about the modifier that you like the most.
The Mag Mod. Now, this particular brand scared me to death.
It scared you.
Because they've used magnets.
Oh, yeah.
Magnets and
Yeah.
electronics. I can't put those in the same bag because I've got to put stuff in the same bag, right? But they've done all the testing with cards, with cameras, and they're not having any problems. It's a safe system. But these modifiers, you put something on the end of your camera, and these modifiers will just snap to it. And they're strong, they stay on there.
Because of the magnets.
You want to change something else out, you pull that off, put the other one in there. A modifier that I already have it gives me great results, but doesn't fit in my bag very well because it's like a big plastic Tupperware. This would really work well to replace that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of parts to it too. You can
Yeah.
have a single domes, or you can have directional type lighting instruments. The word eludes me for a second. The grids, that's the word.
Yeah.
You can put grids on there. They have a whole variety of modifiers that work with that magnetic, or that mag mod. Can't say it right. System.
Snoots.
And I really do like that product, and I've been looking at it for a long time.
But you kind of went toward another one.
Yeah,
there,
I went to
didn't
a little more simple option. There's a manufacturer, a new group called Cobra with a K, Cobra Light or FM. So it's what's the F stand for? FM. Well, anyway, look it up. It'll be on
Link in the
again,
description.
the links down below. But Cobra, it's a modifier that slides over the top of your speed light. And what's nice and unique about it is the back side of it is a reflective surface, and so it kicks the light forward out of the front of that light. So it's not just a sphere that lights everywhere around, and so you don't lose some of your light, but it's all kicked forward into your subject matter. And we'll include here some photos that we shot a couple nights ago using that modifier, and it does a really nice job of making a nice, even, smooth, soft light, all from your speed light. So
and the huge selling point, simple.
Simple.
Just quick, one
Yep.
simple thing that
Yep.
you just put on there.
and the material is durable and strong, but it can be rolled up and put into a pocket of your bag. It's just really easy. It's not bulky in any way, shape, or form. So I really like that Cobra modifier. That was really nice. So I recommend you check them out. Another thing that I was looking for as we came down to WPPI is a new photo bag. I've had a backpack that I've packed around for the past 15 years, and it was just getting kind of ragged. And I wasn't really happy with it, and so I was determined to find a new bag. And there are so many options out there. There's Think Tank, there's Wander, there's Billingham, and I'll talk about some of these in a second. We will talk about it. Temba, and there's a lot more that we didn't even see that they're just not there at this show. But bags are a very personal thing, and I just don't like ordering a bag online. You look at the picture, you watch the video, and you say, well, maybe not. To me, choosing a backpack or a bag is very personal. I want to touch it, I want to manipulate it, I want to see how my lenses will fit into it.
Make sure it's comfortable.
Comfortable. And so to me, WPPI offers a great chance to look at a bag, to dig into it, to talk to people, and see if it works for me. So I recommend, not that reason only, but that's a good reason to come to WPPI. It's not on our top 4 or top 3, but it's a good way to look at things. So we saw the Think Tank, and we saw the Wandered, and as we're wandering, as we're looking through the different bags, James goes, well, where do is there an access? Is there an outside access to pull the camera out directly? And oh no, that one doesn't have it. No, that one doesn't have it. And so we're looking around for one, and eventually I came to the Temba line, TEMBA, and they have a new line of very very strong and enduring, if you will, bags. And so I bought one of those, and so I'm looking forward to that coming in the mail the next couple of days to help me with my photography. And I'm sure I'll show it to you sometime. But I was happy to find that bag. It has 2 access points for the cameras in addition to the flap for getting full access to the whole kit. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that was a really cool setup. And another thing is another way to hold your camera. I cannot stand things on my neck. This even bothers me. So the strap, we both have the same strap.
Yeah, we have the Black Rapid strap.
Comes over your shoulder, but there was a company that had some really cool solutions that was a bit different than that too.
Right.
And I had seen them before. They weren't new, but it actually caught my attention more because I've just been thinking about it. Spider holsters. They've got these straps and they've got these holsters. You attach something to the bottom of your camera, and then you can take it and just put it in the holster on the belt that you are wearing. And they have holsters you can attach to your bag too.
Yep.
And so it's a really quick way of snapping it on. You could flip a lock down and your hands are available, not putting any tension on your neck or shoulders or back. Pick it back up, take your shot.
Yeah.
So
you like those a lot.
That's really got my attention.
Yeah.
The limitations is the battery pack, is it's putting stuff right where your hand is on
exactly. I hate to have something in the middle of my palm as I'm shooting it from a portrait perspective.
Right.
I just don't like that. So even with the Black Rapids that we have, I altered it and I clicked it onto the camera strap connections.
Yeah.
So it's not from the bottom of the camera. I don't like that at all. So that turned me off from looking at the Spider because of that reason. Because I don't like to have that big bulky thing that's taking me farther away from the camera. That doesn't work. Yeah. So in my search for straps, because also again my Black Rapid strap is about 15 years old. I'm looking still for something. I haven't found one yet that I've had a chance to really try or to look at. Because of mostly that bottom connection to the camera. So if you manufacturers are out there and you got something that's a cool solution, let me know. I'd be happy to look at it and see what I like about it. What I like about it.
I need more lavalier mics. You can never get enough of those.
Yep.
And there's some.
That's the filmmaker in this.
Yeah, there's some solutions to put underneath your camera and above from a company called Saramonic. Would you pronounce it that way?
Sarah or Saramonic?
Saramonic.
Yeah.
It's a brand that had some really high quality gear for a price that is a bit lower than a lot of the bigger names that we typically look at for that.
Right.
And so they got my attention, and they have devices for XLR as well as your lavalier mics. And the new thing that is new to me that I've never paid attention to is the Wi-Fi. Instead of the UHF signal, it uses the Wi-Fi to control, and it's a lot more open in other countries and other places. That the UHF, you've got restrictions, government restrictions on where you could use some of the signals, and it's something I want to try. I want to try something that's stable in a different way. So I'm going to look at that a little bit more myself.
One thing that we came across that we weren't really looking for, but also a video related type product, was a gimbal that and you have a gimbal that works for video cameras, larger forms, or the mirrorless or the DSLR,
full mirrorless camera to be honest.
But we figured, well, we maybe ought to find a gimbal that works with a cell phone. So James came across a booth that had I can't pronounce it. The Zhiyun, I think that's one of the ways of spelling it, Zhiyun, and it had a phone gimbal, and the guys there were awesome to talk with, and they taught us how to use it, and they gave us a pretty darn good price on that too. And again, with some of those show deals that they do offer, so we found a nice small gimbal for our cell phones as we make our videos.
And when you stick with us, we're going to have some photo shoots and some other things that you'll be able to see that in action.
Yep.
To see how it works, because that'll be a good way to help us with our YouTube lives, Facebook lives, and everything.
Yeah. So the last thing we want to talk about gear-wise was a product that I had watched a review on just a couple weeks ago on another YouTube channel called the Loop Deck. And I was intrigued by watching the video. I thought, this could be kind of fun. What is this? And my wife happened to be watching with me, and she says, oh, I suppose you're going to get one of those when you go to WPPI. And I go, I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see. Now, you've heard of Loop Deck before.
You know, I think I saw something on it, but I actually had my eye on another product.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I had never pulled the trigger on that is I didn't feel it was customizable enough, as well as functional enough with all the softwares that I use.
So Loop Deck is a control panel that allows you to, through buttons or knobs or other kind of control factors, replace using your mouse, like for instance in Lightroom or in Photoshop, or even in the video world with Premiere. So you can have these keys and knobs and whatever other things that you can do to mimic the functions from the mouse.
Yeah.
So if you want to adjust the aperture, or you want to change the saturation, it's a quick dial versus having to mouse around the whole screen. So
yeah,
that's what these devices do. We saw that in day number 1 of WPPI. We went back on day number 2.
We went back again on day number 1, and then day number 2.
That's right, day number 2, and then we went back a few more times today. And yes, I bought one. So we'll give you more of a report later on how that works and how that improves my workflow.
Yep. Yeah. All these other things that we've kind of been talking about, they're things that we'll take on the set and we'll on the shoot or whatever,
right,
and we'll use, and they'll help us make money. This will help us in our workflow. This might be the most revolutionary in my workflow thought processes.
Yeah.
Time is money.
Yeah.
And if I can cut down the amount of time and just quickly get through my process, I can make more money.
They claim that you'll save 20-30% of your time in editing because you're using this device. So we'll have to get the stopwatch out and see if that works. Because I know I sure mouse around a lot in Lightroom, and you know, it's almost muscle memory at that point. But Loop Deck, this is the Loop Deck Plus, by the way, not just plain Loop Deck. It's the improved version that was just released. So we'll see how that turns out. So that'll be a fun little toy for us to work around with. So those are some of the fun things product-wise that we were looking for, that we saw, that we liked, that we didn't like. That was fun. Now, so here we are. Time for the top 3 reasons why you should go to WPPI next year or in years in the future. Our top 3 reasons. It's good to realize as a professional that we don't know everything, that there's always something new to learn.
Mm-hmm.
As we were going through the demonstrations in the different booths there and talking with people and watching others work, little light bulbs go off in your head and go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't
new
think
things
about
I'm going to try
way.
out.
Yeah. Sometimes we get so stuck in our routine that we don't think about other ways of doing things or other ideas to help improve our workflow or our shoot process or how we relate to models or clients or whoever it might be. So going to WPPI really gives you that moment to say, that's a good idea, and to help you improve your skill set.
Number 2 is geeking out.
Oh, geek out time.
Oh,
yes.
my goodness. To be able to actually pick up gear, push buttons, turn dials. And like we mentioned previously, these vendors would hire models to come in. You would be taught something, but then everybody had access to take pictures and do things. To be able to take the light and turn the dials and the knobs and move it around, and like the Rotolight that we talked about, Pete had told me about it, and my paradigm shift of LEDs and all these other things, it never fully clicked until I got to be there and turn the knobs and actually see how I could use this and really picture, I can take this and I can make money with it.
That's right.
And so that was so fun to just geek out and have a playground.
Yeah, when you go to your local photo store, you can look, you can see, you might be able to put a lens on. You may have to rent it if you want to see if it works or not, if you like the way it feels. You don't get the full feel of it. When you go online and shop, you have no idea if you like it until it arrives. And so to be able to go someplace and just play in the photography sandbox, if you will, and just have fun with that. I mean, we're photographers. We like tech. We like gear. We like to play. We like to create. And so this is a great place to do that and just be able to geek out. And so we give you permission. Go ahead and geek out all you want. Are you ready for number one? Okay, this is again one of those what we feel is probably most vital, important reason why you should consider going to WPPI. Number one reason is that it helps expand your network. And what we mean by that is that you have a chance to talk directly to vendors and not just people who are selling things, but I spoke to owners of companies. I spoke to people that were inventing products. I talked to people that are using the product daily. And so it gave me a chance to really talk one-on-one. How does this work? What does this work? And even give them ideas, and they go, "Oh, that's a great idea. Let's see if we can incorporate that in a future version." So having that chance to expand that network connection with the vendors is really, really a good idea. I like that. Another expansion is that in addition to what happens on the expo floor, because there are so many photographers that come, you'll have a lot of different professional instructors and just great photographers who are doing workshops outside of WPPI. For instance, I got to go attend one of the Jason Lanier photo walks. And that was just amazing. I mean, I just loved it. We spent like an hour and a half, 2 hours walking around on the Las Vegas Strip in the evening and learning how to shoot, a night shoot on the Strip with, all the bokeh and the lights and all that kind of stuff. Just a lot of fun. And I made 12 new friends that night. 12 new friends of photographers and who were there. And that was great. And as I saw them the next day, it was, "Hi, how's it going? Good to see you again." And we've created some relationships there. So that's part of expanding your network. It's no longer just you, but also now you have a bigger base and you have made a friendship in what's going on there. So that, to me, is big.
I think it's time for us to get on the road to get back home.
Yeah, we need to open these windows. We need to get on the road and make sure that we don't suffocate on the way there. But,
Absolutely. But we hope you stick with us. Please do subscribe to us. There's the little bell icon that you can click on so that you can get alerts when we post new videos. We've got some fun stuff that we have coming up, and we hope you join us on that effort.
Yep, and remember, we'll have links in the comments below of all the different manufacturers that we talked to and visited with, so you can go back and say hi to them and give them a shout out. But we thoroughly enjoyed our convention there. It's 2.5 days. Be aware that the last day typically is only a half day. So like today was from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. instead of going until 5 or 6. So you need to plan your schedule appropriately. Also realize that today was a quiet day. The first 2 days were very busy, a lot of people, but most people had left sometime after that second day. So today was pretty quiet. So if you can only have a day or only have a half a day, get into Vegas for that half day and it would be pretty easy to get around. So much fun. So much fun.
Yep. Well, once again, my name is James Howard.
I'm Pete Hansen.
And you got this.
Well, let's get out of here. Come on, let's get this thing going.